Is it possible to overprice a home in this crazy market? The answer is yes, and you've probably seen them out there, but you're probably also wondering whether you should even bother writing an offer on a home that is dramatically overpriced in this crazy market. This video was inspired by a YouTube comment from Keith Morgan on a video I was doing about a market update for Southern California. I was discussing how tight inventory is, and when we have overpriced homes coming to the market, it's not going to help with that. I loved comments like this from my YouTube subscribers, and Keith wrote, "I got a kick out of you saying people won't take a run at homes priced too high. Those are the best ones to offer on. You're the only offer there, and likely they'll lower the price. Same way in the old days, you offer and they counter. That's a lot better than offering on ones lower than market price and being one of 20 offers." And I appreciate Keith's comment, and I would love to see your comments on any of my videos as well. You know what? Keith is right. There is a strategy to buying an overpriced home. It's just, it takes a little finesse, as my grandfather used to say. You have to be careful going after an overpriced home for several different reasons. We're going to run through the strategy we use to help clients, and maybe that could be the deal you make in this crazy housing market. Hey there, Christian Walsh, real estate agent with Wire Associates. We've been helping buyers and sellers and tenants and landlords make the best decisions in this crazy housing market. And we're here to talk about overpriced homes and whether you should even bother writing an offer. And yes, you can still overprice a home in this market. We see it happen. What's great is usually realistic sellers will figure this out pretty quickly. And if they don't have an offer within about 14 days or so, they'll make an adjustment to their price. Now, granted, much higher price points may wait a little bit longer, but it's pretty easy to tell if a home is sitting there, there must be something wrong with it. And usually there's exactly one thing wrong with it, and that's the price. What happens when you overprice a property? Well, this piece here was pulled from a listing presentation we use. Other agents use something very similar. It talks about pricing right, and what happens when you price it too high? In a nutshell, you don't get offers. What do you need to sell a property? You need at least one offer to sell a property. So this is an example of what happens. So you can see at current market value, approximately 95% of buyers will be interested in the property. I don't know what the other 5% are waiting for. Apparently they're waiting for less than market value. Then you can see that as you increase the price over market value, that fewer and fewer buyers will be interested and will notice the property. Now, to be perfectly honest, I don't know where these numbers came from for the percentages, but in reality, this is what happens. The higher you price a property, the less interest you have and the fewer offers you get. Ultimately, and to the point where you may not get any offers on the property and can't sell. So that is a property that is priced way too high. You'll need to determine as a buyer with your agent's help whether it's an unrealistic seller or just an overly optimistic seller. There's a big difference there. In fact, an unrealistic seller may not be a seller at all. And I know you're saying, hey, but their home's on the market. Of course they want to sell. That's not the case. There are reasons that people won't sell. So one that people say is, if I get this magic number, then I'll sell. And unfortunately, that magic number may not have anything to do with reality. They may have just pulled it out of the air, or a magic 8 ball. If they stick to that unrealistic number, they won't budge and they won't do price reductions and they won't do counteroffers. It could be said that they're not really a seller. Another one that's out there, and we've heard it ourselves, is we're going to price it at this number and wait for the right buyer to come along who will pay our number. And unfortunately, that number, again, may not be connected to reality, and there may not be any smart buyer out there anywhere that will pay that number. And there's another reason that the property may not trade, that it may be an unrealistic seller, and that is maybe the seller doesn't want to sell. So there are cases where there's spouses and one doesn't want to sell, or a family inherits a property and one or two family members, they want to buy it, they don't want to sell it. So what do? You get in the way of the deal. And the way you get in the way is you put a big, huge number on it and you don't budge on your number. The high price is a shield from actually selling the property. Another reason that that may be used is they don't have anywhere to go. They're not sure where they're going to go next. A good listing agent agent is going to help get that roadblock out of the way so that they're really ready to sell. But unfortunately, some don't know where they're headed next. So that high price is going to be a shield from keeping them to have to make that decision on where to go. So that's the big difference between an unrealistic seller and maybe an overly optimistic seller. The overly optimistic seller may come out high and may make an adjustment because they have a reason to sell the property. So that dovetails into what we're going to cover next is, why is the seller selling? You need to understand as the buyer what it is, what are the motivations for the seller in selling. So how do we separate the unrealistic seller from the maybe misguided seller or overly optimistic seller? Again, that's going to be up to your agent to help you figure that out. There are going to be important questions that need to be answered, such as, why is the seller selling? Do they have somewhere to go? Are they going to be willing to reduce the price if they don't get the number they want? What is most important to the seller? Really, at the end of the day, we need to figure that out because it may not be the price. It may be time. Maybe they need more time to find something else. So we can go with a longer escrow and a rent back. Maybe it's something crazy like they just need to store their furniture somewhere. So they're literally keeping the house so they can store their furniture until they have somewhere to take it. In which case, hey, let's get to a realistic number and maybe we'll figure out a way to get that furniture moved out and put into storage somewhere. Really, at the end of the day, what matters is there may be problems you can solve for a seller besides just giving them that highest and best price. There may be other things that are more important. As for writing an offer, you may not want to be the first offer on a home that is priced at the high end of market value. Now, there is a chance that someone writes an offer and they get a counter offer and they race off to the sunset with that buyer. But if it's extremely overpriced, this is unlikely. And what can happen instead is some sellers may take it personally. And I've seen this happen out in the marketplace. So if you write an offer that they consider a low ball, even if that offer is ultimately the price it trades at or higher than the price it trades at, because I've seen that happen as well. That first offer they didn't accept and then subsequently down the road took a lower offer. If you come in with that first offer that they consider to be a low ball, you may not get a counter offer and you may not get another chance. I've seen sellers take it personally and say they're not interested in selling to that person. You may want to sit on the sidelines, let the clock tick a little bit, and then come in later with your offer. Make sure you let the seller and their agent know that you're there on the sidelines, you're ready to write, and that if anything else comes in, to make sure you get a chance at it. So that way you don't have to be the bad guy right in the first lowball offer, and you may find that actually it ends up trading at a price that works for you if somebody else comes in with a lowball offer. So you can see it takes patience and finesse to land an overpriced property. But it can be done and it can be lucrative, as Keith said in his comment. One more wild card, and to be a bit of a devil's advocate on this, you never know when an unrealistic seller could suddenly turn into an eager seller. Something could change in their life where suddenly they do need to sell. So it is important to stay close, even on a deal where it's an unrealistic seller, just in case the timing works out to where you're going to get a chance at the property. Thanks again to Keith for his comment. Put your comments below. I want to hear your success stories about going after overpriced properties and other tricks you may have. Leave those in the comments below. Make sure you subscribe to our free weekly email newsletter and join over 2,000 others in getting the latest updates for buyers and sellers and tenants and landlords. And check out this next video you won't want to miss about the housing market. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Christian Walsh, real estate agent with Wire Associates, and we want to hear from you.